for this week's habit, what we're going to focus on is a little bit unrelated to losing weight, but it does tie into it. So the habit this week is journaling. Now, some of you may have done journaling before, whether it's for gratitude or just, your emotional feelings, or maybe you did do a food journal. Maybe you've counted calories before and you're thinking, Liam, I'm not going to count calories. I won't go back, man. I won't do it. Don't worry. You don't have to count your calories. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, with journaling, what we're doing is we're keeping our finger on the pulse of our progress, both emotionally, physiologically, and physically. So how it's going to work for journaling is simple. For this week, all I want you to do is write down what you eat, and if you want, if it's relevant for certain things, you can write down how you feel after you eat it. Now, I'm not saying you have to change what you're eating, and I'm not saying you need to count it and track it. You don't have to measure your rice, all these things. All I'm simply saying is, if for breakfast you have Greek yogurt with blueberries, maybe you measured it out with a measured cup, half a cup of blueberries and some almonds. Yogurt, blueberries, almonds. Later on, you write down, oh, I had an apple for a snack. I had a scoop of protein powder, chicken and rice for lunch. You're going to just track it for the week. You're just going to write down what you're eating. That's it. If you want to add how you're feeling, you'll be surprised at some of the things you notice. I'm going to give you an example here. So for myself, personally, I'm not allergic to anything, and I'm kind of like a human vacuum cleaner where I'll eat almost anything. I used to not even like olives, now I'll eat olives too. But recently, I had a hunch that dried beans might not be great for my body if I eat too much of them, in the form of farting. And recently, I made a Indian-style stew/soup, and it was packed with like lentils, chickpeas, beans, all these different things. And up until that point, I had felt great all week. I'd been training. But then for the next 2 days, after eating like 8 servings of this soup in 2 days, which, I don't recommend, I was constantly feeling like bloated, like 3 inches out, feeling sick, farting. And I realized that I probably have a dietary intolerance there. So I now know, just because, I was aware and keeping track of what I ate there, that maybe I should not eat too many dried beans in a condensed period of time. Now, you're maybe thinking, okay, that's you, but that doesn't relate to me. I can eat all the beans I want. Okay, maybe you can. But maybe dairy, or maybe gluten, or maybe certain types of food or certain times of the day, when you eat things, you'll notice that it makes you feel a certain way. Maybe when you eat your snack after dinner time, it makes you feel like crap. Or maybe if you forget your snack midday before lunch, you feel low energy and you can't focus at work. But what gets measured gets done. So what we're going to do this week is we're going to keep our finger on the pulse, and we're going to figure out, what's going into your body and how it makes you feel. Now, I'm going to lump this in there a little bit, but it's not just food we want to be tracking as well. Another great thing that you can be tracking here is your water. Now, we'll go into this more in another video, but basically speaking, they generally say women should aim for at least 2 liters of water per day, and men should aim for at least 3 liters of water per day. Now, if you're not hitting that number, don't stress out, it's okay, but just try and find ways to consciously drink more water. Some easy to do habits would be always keep a water bottle next to your desk when you're working, next to your bed when you're sleeping. Find one that has the measurements in it, ideally a liter at least, so then you fill it up in the morning. Maybe you add some cucumber or some lemon, you make the water nice and fancy. And then when you drink that 1 liter, okay, I've had 1 liter of water today. And then if you drink 2 of those, boom, if you're a female, you've hit your water. 3 of those if you're a man, etc., etc. But you'll notice that sometimes when you're snacking mindlessly and you're not thinking about it, it's actually just because you're a little thirsty. But you might not know these things if you don't track them with a journal. So that's your habit for this week, is buy a little journal or use your phone. Write it on a whiteboard. write it in crayon. It doesn't matter. But get yourself a small journal or a small notebook and document this week what's going into your body, ideally what time. So like 8 a.m. breakfast, I had this. 11 a.m. I had a snack, bada boom, bada bing. And then if you feel anything that is outside of the ordinary, you feel sick, you feel bloated, you feel extra energetic, you feel really good, write that down so you can note it and be like, wow, oatmeal in the morning makes me feel like a superhuman. I felt like I was walking twice the speed I usually would on my walk this morning because I had this to eat. Because then we know we want to add more of that stuff to the diet. But if you eat cheesecake at 11 p.m. at night and then you can't sleep and you feel sick the next day, maybe we want to minimize the midnight cheesecake cravings, you know? So you don't know if you don't track it. What gets measured gets done. So this week, we're going to measure. I'm also going to include a link to something called a productivity planner by Intelligent Change. I'm not sponsored by them, but I use this planner myself. It breaks your most important daily tasks and weekly tasks down into measurable goals. So if you have work goals, personal goals, weight loss goals, which I'm assuming you have because you're in this program, I highly recommend you make the investment. It costs about $30. They'll deliver it to your door, and you'll be amazed at the progress you can make when you're tracking these things. Good luck this week, everyone, and I'll see you next week.